You trusted someone this morning without even realizing it. Maybe it was the person in scrubs at the clinic. Maybe it was the voice on the phone that knew your account number. Maybe it was just a logo on a website that looked official enough. Your brain made a decision in under a second. It didn't ask for proof. It didn't run a background check. It just let them in. Now imagine that same instinct multiplied across an entire government bureaucracy. Imagine it being exploited systematically by a teenager. The story you're about to hear sounds impossible. It isn't. And the reason it isn't impossible is stranger than the hoax itself. His name was Frédéric Bourdin. Born in France in 1974, largely abandoned, largely invisible, a boy who learned early that the world treats you differently depending on who it thinks you are. By his late teens, he had already impersonated missing children in multiple countries. But in 1997, he pulled off something that still baffles criminologists. He convinced Spanish authorities, American officials, a Texan family, and the FBI that he was Nicholas Barclay, a 13-year-old boy from San Antonio who had vanished 3 years earlier. Bourdin was 23 at the time. He had a French accent. His eyes were brown, Nicholas had blue eyes, he was nearly a decade older than the boy he claimed to be. None of it mattered. Why? That's the question worth sitting with. Because the answer doesn't say something about one fooled family or one overworked bureaucracy. It says something about the brain you're using right now to read these words. In 1984, psychologist Robert Cialdini published Influence, and one of its central findings was deceptively simple. When people are uncertain, they defer to perceived authority, not verified authority. Perceived authority. The cue is enough. A uniform, a title, an official letterhead, a confident, unhesitating demeanor. Your brain treats these signals as proof, because for most of human history, they were close enough to proof to be worth acting on. Bourdin understood this intuitively, not from reading psychology textbooks, but from a lifetime of watching people decide who he was before he had to say a word. He didn't need to be convincing in every detail. He needed to be convincing in the right details, the ones people actually check. He obtained documents. He adopted the posture of a traumatized child, withdrawn, fragile, reluctant to speak. He gave authorities exactly what they expected to see, and their brains did the rest. They filled in the gaps. They resolved the contradictions. They wanted a missing child to have come home, and so he had. This is what cognitive scientists call motivated reasoning. It isn't stupidity, it's efficiency. Your brain is not a truth-seeking machine. It is a prediction machine. It constructs the most probable story from available signals and then looks for confirmation. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman called the fast, automatic version of this process System 1 thinking, and System 1 doesn't pause to verify. It matches patterns and moves on. In the vast majority of everyday situations, this is exactly the right thing to do. It keeps you from spending 30 minutes interrogating every person who hands you a coffee cup, but it also means that anyone who learns the pattern can fake the signal. The officials who processed Bourdin weren't careless people. They were following procedure. They ran checks. They made calls. They filled out forms. And at every step, the system did exactly what systems are designed to do. It processed a case that had already been pre-classified. Someone had said, "This is Nicholas Barclay." The documentation confirmed this is Nicholas Barclay. So the case was Nicholas Barclay. This is what sociologists call institutional inertia, the tendency of organizations to carry a classification forward once it's been established. Because challenging it requires effort, creates conflict, and implies that someone earlier made a mistake. Nobody wants to be the person who reopens a closed case on a hunch. Nobody wants to tell a grieving family that their son might not be their son. So the file moved forward. Researcher Maria Konnikova, in her 2016 book, The Competence Game, argues that the most successful con artists don't beat the system. They use the system against itself. They identify the points where human judgment gets delegated to process, and they enter there. Bourdin didn't fool brilliant investigators with brilliant lies. He gave mediocre procedures exactly what they were built to accept. He lived with the Barclay family for nearly 5 months. Here is where the story turns. Here is where it stops being about one unusual criminal and starts being about you. The family knew, or at least some part of them knew. Neighbors said it immediately, "That doesn't look like Nicholas." The accent alone should have ended it. The eye color, the bone structure. And yet the mother, the sister, they accepted him. They cooked for him. They argued with him like a real family. Neurologist Antonio Damasio's research on emotion and decision-making offers an uncomfortable explanation. When we are confronted with evidence that contradicts something we emotionally need to be true, we don't neutrally evaluate both options. We experience the contradictory evidence as a threat, and threats get neutralized. The brain doesn't file them away for later consideration, it reframes them, minimizes them, or forgets them in hours. The family needed Nicholas to be home. So the stranger who arrived became Nicholas, not through delusion, through the very normal, very human process of emotional reasoning overriding perceptual data. Your brain does a version of this every day. Every time you trust a confident voice over a hesitant one. Every time you assume the person who looks like they're in charge probably is. Every time you don't ask the follow-up question because asking it would feel rude. And surely it's fine, and this has gone on long enough. Bourdin was eventually exposed not by any official body, but by a private investigator hired by a TV producer, someone with no institutional stake in the outcome, no emotional investment in the answer, and no procedural incentive to let the file move forward unopened. He simply looked, without needing to see anything in particular. The lesson is not that governments are incompetent or that families are foolish. The lesson is structural. The cognitive tools that make you functional, pattern recognition, authority deference, motivated reasoning, emotional continuity, are the same tools that make you exploitable. They are not bugs. They are the operating system. Evolution did not optimize your brain for detecting 21st century fraud. It optimized it for navigating a small social group on a savanna, where the person who looked like a leader almost certainly was one, and where second-guessing every authority figure was a fast way to die alone. The teenager didn't beat human intelligence. He ran it in the wrong direction. He found the place where the software was never meant to be tested, and he pressed the button. That mechanism is still running. Right now, it's being used in phishing emails designed to look exactly like messages from your bank, in deepfake video calls where your CEO's face asks you to wire money, in social engineering attacks that open with 6 true facts before the 7th false one that matters. In every confidence scheme, cult, propaganda campaign, and corporate fraud in recorded history, the playbook is the same because the brain is the same. And so we're back to this morning. Back to the person you trusted without quite knowing why. The voice that sounded credible. The email you almost clicked. The stranger whose confidence you read as competence. Your brain made a call. It does this hundreds of times a day. Most of the time, it's right. But the part of you that wants to know why Frédéric Bourdin worked that part is also the part that can pause before System 1 closes the file. You trusted someone this morning without even realizing it. Now you realize it. And that changes exactly nothing about tomorrow unless you decide it